Good morning and welcome to a new SUUF beginning, to community, connection, inspiration, and positive change. Even though we can't meet in person for now, I trust that you will find again what has been missing for all of us over the last few months, and will look forward to being together again on Sunday mornings. May our services fill you with the warmth of friendship and give you a weekly dose of strength to keep going in these trying times. Thanks again to everyone who worked so hard to create this service, and thanks to you for being here. You have been missed.
Hello everybody, it's so good to be back. And it's wonderful for us all to be together in this virtual space. You know, this is a place where you can go, where everybody knows your name. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see that you don't have to play the game. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people are treated all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Who carries you in their heart, thinks of you whether you think of them or not? Whose are you? Who are your people, the ones who make a force field you can almost touch? Whose are you? Who is within your circle of concern? Whose are you? To whom are you responsible, accountable? Whose care is yours to provide? Whose are you? When you look in the mirror in the morning, whose bones do you see? Whose blood runs in your veins? Who are those people stretching back in time beyond memory? Where did you come from? Whose are you? When you walk out of your room, out of your house, into the sunlight of the day, to whom in this wide world do you belong? Where is your allegiance? By whom are you called? Whose are you? At the end of the day, through the longest night, in the valley of the shadow of death and the despair, who holds your going out and coming in, your walking and your sleeping? Who, what, holds you in the hollow of its hand? Whose are you?
Good morning. We have several announcements this morning for our first church service of the year. For these new virtual services, we have a wonderful lineup of guest ministers and speakers. Next week, we have the return of Reverend Anthony Johnson presenting a sermon about integrity, and one of the most quoted UU ministers in history, Theodore Parker. Our minister for today's sermon, Reverend Robin Zucker, is from UU Beacon congregation in Flagstaff. We are so blessed that she will provide us 2 services per month through December. The other 2 Sundays will be a changing roster of speakers. Even though you'll be able to watch the services anytime on YouTube, we encourage everyone to watch on Sundays at 10 a.m. so that we can experience the community benefits together virtually. We will host a Zoom virtual coffee hour at 11 a.m. Sundays, via the link in your Sunday morning email. This is a fun way for us to interact socially with each other after the service. Also, we want to include your weekly SUUF biz announcements and your personal joys and concerns in our new video format. We have a new online form for you can submit, or you can just email these items to us. Besides the all-important act of joining together online on Sunday mornings, we've got other creative, fun, and meaningful ways for you to play a part in our weekly SUUF YouTube services. You can submit photos or words of wisdom, do audio or video recordings, present a talk, serve on our new worship team, or even sing in a virtual choir. There are lots of possibilities. With this in mind, we will be sending out a survey about how you might like to be involved. So please look for that in your email and return it to us when you can, or submit it through the link at the end of our services. Reverend Glenn is well and involved in his new hospice work in Flagstaff. We wish him all the best. Our website team, Tracy Young, Chris Bine, and Pat Kopecki, has been busy working and designing the last few months. They are happy to announce that our new beautiful website is up and running. Please check it out at SedonaUU.org. The SUUF Men's Group will meet via Zoom. We have started our regular monthly meetings with a new and exciting format facilitated by Paul Friedman. All UU men are encouraged to take part in this exciting discussion group. Our women's group has been having virtual lunches throughout the last couple months. A separate email has been sent out by the host with these dates. This concludes today's announcements. Thank you.
Please recite with me our shared affirmation of mission. This fellowship is a welcoming, diverse, and nurturing beloved community that promotes progressive religious thought and practice to create a more loving, just, and sustainable world. Almost heaven, Arizona, Red Rock Country, there's a Valley River. Life is open, older than the trees, longer than the mountains, rolling like a breeze, country road, take me home to the place I belong, to Sedona, right from Mama, take me home, country roads. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to the water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, mystic taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye, country road, take me home to the place I belong, to Sedona, right rock mama, take me home, country roads again, country roads, take me home, In this time of virtual gathering, let us take a few moments to appreciate our fellowship. Here and now, let us feel that we are together as our beloved community. And as we breathe, we can imagine ourselves in the warm embrace of our congregation, with its bonds of caring and support. Our fellowship bridges all distances and permeates our lives with love and connection.
The flame of our chalice today is a symbol of the warmth and brightness of our connections. The flame lights our way back together again from our separate summer lives, and it lights our way forward into this new church year of promise and renewal.
My name is Sarah Ann Fred. One day, a couple of months after my partner of 16 years, Robert, passed away, and while driving back from my storage unit in the village of Oak Creek, I saw a huge banner in front of the Jewish sanctuary saying, "Sedona Unitarian Universalists meet here at 10 a.m. every Sunday." However, since then, numerous people have told me that the banner was never there, but I saw it. Having always been interested in UU since a former boss of mine had mentioned them when I lived in California, that very next Sunday I took myself there and met all of you wonderful people. It was also Mitzvah Sunday, and I came right back that afternoon and worked with Pat Kopitke making plush blankets for the Verde Valley Sanctuary. I will be forever grateful for how all of you welcomed me into your midst and helped me to come back out of my shock and depression after losing Robert. The UU principles have been just what I needed in this time of my life. They tied together everything I've been studying and learning and want to participate in, yet allow each of us to pursue our own individual spiritual path. I became a full SUUF member in November of 2018.
Hi everybody, Lauren Kelly here. The principles of Unitarian Universalism really unites three aspects of my life that have long felt too separate from one another. My life as a thinker and an academic, my work as a social activist and an educator, and my quiet, private inner journey. By finding a practice and an approach to living that sees these three as necessary partners, they allows me to feel more whole and to then raise my children in a way such that they can see them as necessary parts of a whole. I feel that I'm better equipped to teach them, therefore, the deep importance of seeking such wholeness, both for yourself and so that we can create a peaceful, just, and sustainable world. After a long time of doing that work on my own, it is really lovely to be part of a community where I can feel the support and the fellowship of other UU practitioners.
My sermon today is entitled, "You Will Be Found, the Need to Belong and the Power of Tribes." In the town of Omelas, everyone has what they need. There is no hunger, no war, no violence or inequity. People do not raise their voices in anger or despair. People are happy and they are sophisticated, not bland utopians. The science fiction writer Ursula Le Guin takes us to this odd village in her extraordinary short story classic entitled The Ones Who Walked Away from Omelas. But there is a dirty little disclaimer in all this bliss. Le Guin explains, in a basement under one of the most beautiful public buildings, or perhaps in the cellar of one of the spacious private homes, there is a tiny room. It has one locked door and no window. The floor is dirt and damp to the touch. In this room, a child is sitting. It could be a girl or a boy. It looks about 6, but it's actually 10. It is feeble-minded. The door is always locked and people seldom come. Sometimes the child who can remember sunlight speaks. Please let me out. I will be good. But they never answer. Le Guin continues, they all know it's there, all the people of Omelas. They all know that it has to be there. Some of them understand why, their happiness, the beauty of their city, the tenderness of their friendships, the health of their children, the wisdom of their scholars, the abundance of their harvest depends wholly on this child's abominable misery. The terms are strict and absolute. There may not be even one kind word said to the child. Often when this Faustian bargain is explained to them at age 10 or so, the children react in disgust and rage. They may brood over it for weeks. But then they become convinced too that this arrangement offers the greatest good for the greatest number. The wretchedness of the child, they reason, awakens their compassion and their nobility. That it is because of the suffering of this child that they can be so gentle with their children. Yet sometimes one of the adolescents or adults in Omelas learns about this child and doesn't go home to rationalize or cry or rage or get over it. Sometimes, writes Le Guin, they go out into the street, silently walk straight out of the town of Omelas. They keep walking and walking. The place they go towards is unknown, but they seem to know where they are going, the ones who walk away from Omelas. It's a timeless short story. The ones who walk away from Omelas just could no longer bear this chilling, unjust quid pro quo in their toxic tribe. It wasn't a place where they wanted to belong. It was too high a price for them to pay for harmony, or at least for what passed as harmony. As Le Guin asks herself somewhat rhetorically in a commentary on her own story, she says, how hideous a thing would be its enjoyment when deliberately accepted as the fruit of such a bargain. Literature is full of cautionary tales about utopias, and like all places, Omelas possesses an unreality, existing as it does at that intersection between fantasy and travesty. Orwell's Animal Farm in 1984, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale, Huxley's Brave New World, they all come to mind. More recently, we've been captivated by the Hunger Games, Ready Player One, and the Divergent series, among others. In my view, utopias, evil or benign, are misguided primarily because they micromanage all of the creative enterprise out of the human endeavor of being together in community, whether it's in our inherited tribes or our chosen ones. For as we know, life is messy. We're messy at home, at work, in relationships, and here at the SedonaUU Fellowship. I'm reminded of a classic Bissell vacuum cleaner commercial. Life is messy, clean it up. That's a pretty good darn definition of the utopian goal, a cleaned up, sanitized world. One we surely do not recognize today in the very real world of the coronavirus and all that it has wrought. Of course, we Americans hold very different views about the ideal society, and they divide us more and more dangerously every single day. For some, utopia means a place where they can brandish an AK-47 in Costco or burn books, restrict reproductive rights, cage immigrants. For others, the ideal is created through peacemaking, dissent, and conflict resolution, promoting diversity and democracy, and sharing resources and hope. At its core, though, America is consumer-driven, and we're sold utopian dreams through merchandising. Buy me, and your life will be better. Drink me, and your love life will flourish. Drive me, and your life will be perfect. Friend me, and you'll have worth. Facebook is Shangri-La. Disney World is Brigadoon. Amazon is our on-time savior. But if we stop to examine the word utopia closely, we get quite a jolt. It doesn't mean quite what we thought. Utopia, from the Greek, ou and topos, means literally nowhere. So by its very nature, utopia is actually a dystopia, a dysfunctional nowhere, a no place. I wonder, and maybe you do too, what is our sense of where right now as we gather as a congregation and yet continue to shelter in place for the 6th straight month, physically distanced from our regular routines and our familiar places, our tribes, and our places of belonging? Are we feeling lost or found? The Western idea of utopia originates in the ancient world, where legends of an earthly paradise lost to history, Eden in the Old Testament and the mythical golden age of Greek mythology, this was grafted on to a human desire to create or recreate an ideal world. The Greek philosopher Plato, he sketched a human utopia in his Republic, where he imagined the ideal Greek city-state with communal living among the ruling class, perhaps based on the model of the Greek city-state of Sparta. And then certainly the English statesman, Sir Thomas More, he had Plato in mind when he wrote the book Utopia in 1516, describing a perfect political and social system on an imaginary island. The term utopia has since come into the English language, meaning any place, state, or situation of ideal harmony and perfection. However, as often happens, Thomas More's utopia unravels in real time, which soon is beset with problems of its own. America in itself was seen as a utopia by people coming here from other places, and it has seen its share of quixotic utopian experiments, the Shakers, Oneidas, Ephrata, and Amana communities among them. The utopians were people and communities trying to set themselves apart and above culture. And Unitarians took a shot at it too, quite famously. From 1841 to 1847, a group of transcendentalists led by George Ripley, they did an experiment in what they called plain living and self-reliance at Brook Farm, 200 acres in West Roxbury, Massachusetts. It began with 15 members and never contained more than 150 at a time, but it unraveled in real time also, being a utopia. Bronson Alcott tried to get Fruitlands off the ground in Harvard, Massachusetts. These nobly envisioned collectives ultimately failed, in part because they just could not be self-sustaining. For many, today, finding a modern day Unitarian Universalist congregation like this one in Sedona can elicit a kind of giddy excitement at finding just such a promised land. I hear it regularly when I visit with newcomers or new people come to our door for worship or even come to YouTube for worship and then send me a note. We UUs tuning in today may have mistakenly believed initially that we were being welcomed into a religious utopia. And even if that idea ended up being shaken, which I presume it has, you have not walked away, but instead you have settled on a belief that you have found a good religious fit, a place of belonging where you will be found truly as yourself in all your shapes and shadings. After all, here you are. You're still here, or newly here, and welcome. And most likely that swoony in loveness sensation we might feel when we first find a tribe or a congregation has morphed into something more sane and balanced and grounded as you have come to see SUUF as the perfectly imperfect tribe for you. Yet being in this community, any community, will not make your life perfect. You probably already know that. Joining SUUF will not shield you from pain or suffering or disappointment or grief or this terrifying coronavirus. But you will not be alone. Social science tells us this simple truth. Belonging helps us survive. This is not Omelas with its cruel equations. We are a supportive, reciprocal tribe, and belonging to a tribe like ours is a game changer because we humans are created for connection. It is a primal biological urge. And here we share the common task of shouldering pain and joy, freedom and good stewardship. And our mission isn't to live in bland contentment or to exist as a congregation above or apart from culture. On the contrary, our stated mission as UUs is to be what theologian Reinhard Niebuhr calls a church in culture, a religious community grounded in the real, messy world. Our very survival depends on us finding our way together to the heart of compassion where it hurts, where we feel real feelings like pain and fear, confusion, loneliness, and contempt. It defies sameness, blandness, and flatness. Our health and future as a congregation depends on supporting this tribe where we find ourselves right now with time, talent, and treasury. When I picture your faces, the faces out there who are watching this today, folks who experience SUUF as a tribe grounded in covenantal ideas, or perhaps you're just finding us for the first time. I am reminded of a meditation by the Reverend Victoria Safford called, "Why Do You Come, John?" She writes, "I knew a man once who came to church every Sunday, and because of hearing loss, more than a sense of his own importance, he sat in the front row. I asked him, 'Why do you come, John, in all kinds of weather, when you're well and when you're not, when you like the speaker or the sermon topic, or when you don't?' His answer was straightforward. 'I come,' he said, 'because someone might miss me.' He worked hard on Sundays to make other people feel at home and to feel that they belonged to a tribe. And he was right. The Sunday after his memorial service, someone walked right in and sat down in his empty seat in the front row. They came hoping there was room, and John made room and would have been delighted. Why do you come to Sedona Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, whether it's among the Red Rocks or here to our YouTube channel? Do you come to be found, to belong, to welcome others, to sustain your tribe? Susannah asked members of this tribe, this SUUF tribe, that very question recently, and you heard some of their responses earlier in this service. Sarah shares these words: "I will be forever grateful for how all of you welcomed me into your midst and helped me come back out of my shock and depression after losing my husband. And Lauren offers these words: SUUF allows me to raise my children with an anchor of meaning. I feel I am better equipped to teach them the deep importance of seeking wholeness for the self so that they may have a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world. In a reflection for the UU journal called Quest, entitled My Tribe, Cassandra Gale Fisher, an artist from South Bend, Indiana, captures the many genuine and connective aspects of the tribal paradigm that draws us into UU communities. She writes, "My tribe is the people I stand next to while I cook, while I work, while I play, while I mourn, while I grow, and who stands next to me. Life comes at us one moment after the next, and how we respond defines us." She continues, "My tribe is not all people I like. It is not all people I agree with or even get along with. There are people I love dearly who I cannot stand to be in the same room with for very long. But those moments that come at us change everything. Sometimes it is subtle, sometimes startling, but there is always change. A deeper smile, a new scar, a work of art. My tribe is not a still pond," she tells us. Some days it rages and thrashes like the ocean in a storm. Some days it is all four seasons at once. We are manyed and varied and ever changing, and we are doing it together here on this planet. We may not always be entirely happy about it all the time. Hell, some days, some moments, it's absolutely infuriating to be human. But I am here. We are here. Friends, this is no time for what UUA President, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, calls a casual faith. As a tribe, we are self-sustaining in every way. And when the tribe is placed before the individual, the community will thrive. As needed, members of the tribe sit in a circle, face to face, and they resolve and repair what is torn. And we must do the same with communitarian values. So I ask that you support one another by staying connected through whatever means are available to you during this challenging, continued, distanced time. By phone, FaceTime, Facebook, letters, emails, safe coffees and outdoor spaces, hikes on trails. And I ask that you support SUUF, the tribe that you love, with donations and pledges, especially during this time. Utopia means not a place, yet I know a place, a real flesh and blood place. In the words of poet Martha Kurtz Hogan, I know a place where love is, a place where light is. I know a place, I will not leave it. A place where you can be found, even when the dark comes crashing through and you need a friend to carry you. You will be found. This place where we strive to create beloved community with what we've got, a tribe of real, messy people feeling real, messy feelings. SUUF may not be Shangri-La, and thank goodness for that. If it were, we'd be separate, a community apart from culture, but we're not, and we choose not to be. We're a tribe grounded in the world, broken and wondrous as it is, striving to make it a little bit better. That mission, that enduring truth, makes this a place of hope and belonging that few would casually walk away from. And so may it be as we gather in and throughout the year. Blessed be, blessed we, and amen.
This is a poem by Martha Kurtz Hogan. I know a place where calm is, where the rain comes and refreshes the earth, in the cool of the day, in the quiet of the evening. I know a place where light is, where the lamp warms the house and the candle never flickers, in the chill of the night, in the darkness of the evening. I know a place where love is, where the mother holds the child and cradles it in singing, in the quiet of the night, in the shadows of the evening. I know a place, I will not leave it. I will rise in the morning, I will dance in the dayshine. I'll stretch forth my arms at noon and lift my voice at twilight. In the glare of the day, in the coolness of the evening, I will sing. I know a place.
Now is the time for silent meditation. We join together today in a time of meditation. As we enter into the silence, we remember the many connections that sustain us in our religious community. We remember those around us whose continuing care in thought and deed is an ongoing blessing in our lives. We keep the dream of free religion in our time. In the silence now, we sit surrounded by these many connections, visible and invisible, that remind us every day that we are not alone. Now is a time for silent meditation.
We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. In gratitude of our many blessings and many needs, this morning's offering for this community will now be received.
The people of our fellowship are aware that my husband Gary passed away unexpectedly 6 months ago, just as the COVID-19 pandemic was beginning to change life for all of us. Gary loved music, and in the days that followed, I was reminded of that, as a favorite music station kept me company. But the words and melody of one song that I wasn't hearing kept going through my head. Performed by Linda Ronstadt and James Ingram, it was featured during the closing credits of the animated film An American Tail in 1986, and later released as a single recording. Our daughter Linda was born in April 1987 and spent her first 10 days in the NICU, the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, where music would be playing softly in the background during our visits, including that particular song, which seemed so appropriate to our situation. Hearing it since then was always special to me, but it had taken on a new meaning in my now very different situation,
which I was sharing with others who are also separated from their own loved ones. The images that came to mind while singing it to myself brought me comfort, and I considered how lovely it would be to hear Susannah sing it for us. And so I would like to dedicate this song to Gary and to countless others among us who are apart physically but keeping each other close in our hearts, minds, and dreams. I have faith that love will see us through and that we'll be together again somewhere out there.
On the same bright star, and when the night wind starts to sing a lonesome lullaby, it helps to think we're sleeping underneath the same big sky. Somewhere out there, if love can see us through, somewhere out there, out where dreams come true. It helps to think we're sleeping underneath the same big sky. Somewhere out there, if love can see us through, then we'll be together somewhere out there, out where dreams come true.
Each week, members of our community are invited to share a personal joy or sorrow. The water in the bowl represents our fellowship, and the rocks are individual joys and sorrows. We are grateful for this time together, to connect with each other, and to hear what is in our hearts and on our minds. For each joy or sorrow, I will place a stone in the bowl. But first, let us remember our community members who are protecting us with their lives every day to keep us safe. These stones are for those essential workers, like our healthcare providers, first responders, teachers and other public employees, and grocery workers. We are grateful for their service.
Hello, this is Susannah. These stones are for all of the people and beings threatened and affected by the fires raging in California, Oregon, and Washington state. Many of us, including myself, have family in the areas affected. I also have a nephew who is a firefighter working on the Creek Fire near Fresno, California. So please let us also keep prayers for the safety of the thousands of firefighters and also their success at containing the fires. And we send our congregational love and care out again to our dear members who have lost loved ones recently. Pat Kapitke, who lost her husband Gary about 6 months ago, and Leslie Sarn, who also lost her husband Jim, Alan Gore, who lost his wife Ursula in August, Ralph Blankenship, who lost his wife Sharon recently, and also one of his sons, Daniel, who recently died of the coronavirus. Chris Seeholzer has 2 joys to share. One joy is that the Sedona Arts Center has installed 3 life-size sculptures by John Waddell outside its Uptown Sedona building. We can now go uptown and visit, sit with John's sculptures and think about him, and also send good wishes to Ruth at the same time. Chris's second joy is that with Kathy Kinsella's win, we will now have someone on the City Council who lives her UU principles every day. And we have a concern for our dear member, Dieter Knecht, who will be in a boot for about a month after suffering a slight fracture in his leg while hiking. Keep Dieter in your thoughts for a swift and full recovery. Here's a picture of him with the 2 French hikers who helped him get down Thunder Mountain after his injury. And finally, we hold the unspoken joys and concerns of our members and friends.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing is going right, close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. And I'll be there. Yes, I will. And I'll be there. Yes, I will. You got a friend.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Be true, be well, be loving. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna be somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I had the keys, you need to bow low. No one can feel those of your needs that you don't let show. So just call on the brother when you need a hand.
We all need somebody to lean on.
I just might have a problem that you'd understand.
We all need somebody to lean on.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Come on, sing it. So just call on me, sister, when you need a hand.
We all need somebody to lean on.
I just might have a problem that you'd understand.
We all need somebody to lean on.
If there is a load you have to bear, Just call me. All you gotta do is call me. Just pick up the phone.